Welcome back to Portland, everybody. You're watching our leader, Tommy Archer, continuing to have a very good run here. Not the first time that he's had a pretty good run here at Portland. In 1992, he ended up in second spot. And in 93, as we're going to show you in our Trans Am flashback, he was involved in one of the most intriguing races this track has ever seen. Let's take a look at a Trans Am flashback. Portland in 93, one of the great races of all time. Scott Sharp had the pole with his Camaro, but Ron Fellows was in hot pursuit in the early going. There was a caution, and on the restart about halfway through, Fellows right there is passed on the outside by the Dodge of Tommy Archer. Archer moves into second. Fellows has to fight hard to hang on to third, but shortly thereafter, Fellows retook the second place in the festival curves, got underneath Tommy. Then later in the race, 1 lap to go, Fellows gets under Sharp and spins him, takes the lead before the Archer brothers are able to capitalize. Here they come. There's Tommy, Bobby right behind, and right there, Fellows just able to squeeze back on in front. He's able to hold them off on that final lap, and Ron Fellows won the first of what were to be 3 consecutive Trans Am wins here at Portland. Now you'll be able to see Ron Fellows Monday night as Speed Vision's coverage of the American Le Mans Series continues from right here at the Grand Prix of Portland. Monday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you will be able to watch and see if Ron Fellows can bring another win, this time in the GTS division for the big Corvettes. Of course, the Audis will be running and see if they continue their streak in the LMP 900 category. The Porsche and BMW war continues in GT. Make sure you check it out Monday night here on Speed Vision. Meanwhile, Tommy Archer trying to get rid of those 2-second spots and get the winner's trophy on the mantle in a Trans Am race here, and it's always been with Chrysler products.
It has, and I'll tell you what, Tommy, he's got a long ways to go, but after the qualifying performance, his PR guy said that there's a little bit of talk going around the team that they're just going to maybe break one of his legs before every race so that he comes back with a vengeance. I think that's a little bit extreme, but...
well, maybe that's part of that Will Moody mindset. He does what he has to. Calvin?
Well, I just spoke to Will. I said, how's the driver doing? He said, to be honest with you, it's been so busy in the first half of this race, we haven't had much chance to talk about it. But he said the adrenaline was pumping. He said, my concern is now we're just past the halfway point, about 30 laps to go. He said, now he's really just got to get into a pace, and that really gives him time to think about his injury. So he's concerned about it, but he said he did about 80 miles yesterday. He really didn't have a big problem. They've had Anthony Lazzaro on standby all weekend long in case Tommy wasn't up to the task. And there's a rule that says if you do over 50%, your points are good. So even if Anthony did have to jump in, he would have still got his points. Meanwhile, Justin Bell's out there on the racetrack. He's struggling a little bit this weekend on horsepower. He's one of the few cars in the field with the exhaust exit from the left side of the car. Very stringent noise levels are really looked at here. 110 decibels, and the noise reading is taken from the left side. So Justin and the team, heavy muffling, a lot of back pressure. That costs horsepower, Tommy.
Yeah, it sure does. You see it, actually they exited out both sides, and that's one of the things always curious. They have a couple days a year. The IndyCar uses one of them where they have a noise exemption. The rest of the days, all the cars have to be underneath that quiet rule. It kind of seems like an oxymoron. Unlimited speed race cars that have to be quiet, but it's the rules of the game, and it's a nice place to race, so everybody doesn't complain too much.
We're also watching a good battle here. That's Johnny Miller, sits in the 4th spot, and he actually now has gone around. He's been chasing Gelati. Gelati was in 3rd, and Miller was working him and working him and working him, and finally he got by. Now the orange car, who has 2 lap cars between himself now and Miller, is Justin Bell, who sits in 2nd spot, and Miller now has to try and get through these 2 lap cars and then be able to close up and take a run at Bell. Problem is, he's got Gelati, who's not exactly just going to go quietly here. Meanwhile, talking about Archer and those 2 second places in Trans Am, he did bring a couple of wins for Dodge, the last one coming in 1993 in an absolutely brilliant drive at Lime Rock. It was just an incredible drive by Tommy, and but he'd sure like to bring him another one now. Now here's number 33, that's Boris Said in the 5th spot. Then the lap car Sack, and that's 3. Gentilozzi got underneath Sack, so this is going to become a battle for the top 5, and of course Gentilozzi leads in the points, Boris in the top 5 in points, but he's back a little bit. This could be interesting.
Yeah, Paul's been quite a bit stronger down the straightaway than Boris all weekend, so it'll be interesting to see. Didn't get nearly as good a shot. Got pretty crossed up, spun the tires coming off there. Let's see how much that Rocket Sports horsepower. Look at that.
Boy, just eats it up, doesn't it?
Dialing him back in. The last lap, it's hard to know with traffic, but the last lap, Paul was 3.4 seconds faster than Boris.
gets into the back of that 05 Miller. That messes him up, and there, well, settled it right there because Gentilozzi wasted no time, cut right, and made the pass. So Boris we've got it. Oh, and that is Gelati. Gelati running in the 4th spot, trying to get by apparently Paul Fix. We don't know exactly what happened, but apparent contact of some sort, or at least a moment, and that now is going to park Gelati and bring him right back to these guys.
There's about a 13-second gap back to Gentilozzi. Now it's probably less than half that. He got going relatively quickly, but I got tangled up with a back mark. You see a lot of this is a long race, and they've lapped up through 8th place, the leader has, and so the guys are in traffic nonstop. And sometimes in these longer races, guys get tired, guys get a little frustrated, and you see guys, I like that move with Boris putting the bumper there. You know, that's kind of uncalled for. I mean, when you're trying to get by a lap guy, you feel justified because you're trying to hold off the guy behind you, but you can't just drive over the top of him.
And we're getting a report that part of the problem is apparently Boris's tires are starting to go off big time, and that car is sliding all over the place. Well, we're going to take a quick break here. 43 laps complete here at Portland.